Credit. What a weird concept. They aren't gonna let us borrow money until they can see that we're good at borrowing money. And if they do let us borrow money, they're going to influence our ability to do things like getting our dream job or an apartment. They're going to determine how much we pay for must-haves like auto and homeowners insurance. And if they do let us borrow the money and we make a mistake, then they'll make us pay twice as much for these things with money we obviously don't have to punish us. What is that? Credit is confusing. Why do they not teach this enormously important topic in school? Credit reminds me of the egg from Yu Yu Hakusho. If you don't know about this anime, the main character, Yusuke, is given an egg by a psychic. He's told that the beast inside the egg will feed off of his energy based on the nature of his energy. In other words, if Yusuke is good, the creature inside the egg will reflect Yusuke. If Yusuke is bad, the negative energy would turn the creature inside the egg evil. And when it would hatch, the beast inside the egg would eat Yusuke. There's probably a better analogy, but that's the first thing that popped into my head when I was trying to put this together. Having a bad credit score isn't gonna eat you alive, but it can make your life a lot harder. In this video, I'm gonna talk about what is credit, why it's important, and ways that you can build your credit. Credit is a huge topic, and I'm gonna try to make it as concise and easily digestible as I can. Once you get to the end of this video and you feel like there's something I didn't discuss and you'd like me to talk about, please let me know down in the comments. Also, I will leave links down in the description of everything that I talk about in this video. Hey, welcome back to the channel. My name is Kwame, and this is the Manifest Digest. If you're new here, on this channel we help inspire, motivate, and teach you to manifest your best life. Amongst other things, we talk about personal development, professional development, self-care, health, and spirituality. If you're interested in any of those topics, you should definitely consider subscribing. And if you've watched our videos before and you're back for more, please go ahead and smash that like button, and you should go ahead and subscribe. And if you're a returning subscriber, what's up? Good to see you again. So what is your credit score? A credit score is a numerical representation of the information that can be found on your credit report. It provides you and others with a snapshot of your overall credit health. Your score measures how financially stable you are and how likely you are to pay back debt. So the question is, who's coming up with these numbers? The big three credit bureaus are Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. They generate two main types of credit scores, a FICO score and a Vantage score. It's important to note that the information reported to the credit bureaus aren't shared between them, so this could lead to different scores. The reason for this is that the creditors, the folks that you borrow the money from, have their choice of who they want to report to. Each company uses their own internal algorithm that we have no insight into to come up with these credit scores. The most widely used score is the FICO score, and it's used in 90% of all lending decisions. In my opinion, the FICO score is the only score to really focus on. The FICO score has a range from 300 to 850, and in general, the higher that score is, the more responsible you've been with credit. There are 5 factors that determine your FICO score, and they're all weighed differently. 35% of your score is your payment history, and that's a measurement of all of your on-time payments, getting those bills paid on time. 30% of your credit score is amounts owed, and that's pretty much how your debt to credit ratio matches up. So if you have $1,000 and you've charged your credit card $900, this is actually seen as a very bad thing, and that will actually deduct points from your credit score. The rule of thumb is to always maintain 30% underutilization in order to keep your credit score going up. 15% goes to the length of your credit history, so this shows how you've been handling your credit over the years. I generally tell people not to close out old credit cards and just charge $1 to them, once a year just to keep them open, because if you close them, that could actually be a detriment to your credit score. 10% goes to new credit, and that pretty much shows how often you've been applying for new credit cards or credit in general. If you've been applying too much for new credit, then this can actually be a detriment to your credit score as well. And then the last 10% goes to your credit mix. So this shows how you handle different types of credit, like a house loan, a car loan, or credit cards. So why is credit important? Credit affects so many different aspects of our lives that if we're not told explicitly what those things are, we could easily end up in a hole, literally, because one of the things is credit can control if you're able to get a nice apartment or not. When I got this apartment, I had no idea how much my credit would affect us moving here. When they did the background check and everything, you know, I was good to go, but because my credit was good, I didn't have to pay a substantial, you know, security deposit just to move in. To me, that seemed kind of weird because I'm saying moving is expensive as is, but why charge someone extra to move in? It's almost like it keeps the poor poor, you know? If you're trying to find a place to live, why would they charge you more just because your credit's bad? They have no idea what could have happened to you, but like I said earlier, it's like you're being punished for it, and I just thought that was interesting enough. I'm glad I had, you know, good credit to avoid those fees, but it just made me feel a certain type of way about this whole credit system and how everything works. So another thing you might already know is that when you have good credit, this leads to low interest rates on credit cards and loans. So they're not charging you, you know, most credit cards have about a 20% interest rate, and that's pretty normal. But in some cases, you can apply for credit cards and your credit card might not be that high, or a loan, it might be 15% for someone with bad credit, but then 4 or 5 for someone with good credit. Something you might already know is that depending on your credit score, that could affect your interest rate on loans. In general, having a good credit score allows you a better chance to apply for loans and credit cards in general. You know, some of the best credit cards that give you some of the best cash back incentives are only given to people with good credit scores. People that don't have good credit or people that don't have any established credit are really missing out on those opportunities to get cash back on things like gas and groceries. So the next one is something that I really had to look into because I had never heard of this concept before. I never came across it in my apartment searches or anything like that. Having good credit could actually have you avoid security deposits on your utilities. If you didn't know, utility companies can actually charge you a security deposit if you have bad credit because you're using it ahead of time and you're paying for it after. But if you're deemed as someone that has bad credit, and they see that as bad at managing money, they'll say, hey, well, we're gonna charge you up front for this. This system does not take into account anything about your life. It just sees you as a number, and you'll just be out of luck until you can find a way to boost your credit score again. And in some cases, that can take years. So be careful out there. I think it's super important to manage your credit, always be aware of what's going on. Have something that can track your credit score. If you've never checked your credit score before, I'll let you guys know how to do all that stuff at the end of the video because it's super important to stay on top of these things. So that being said, the next topic that I'm gonna talk about is things that can negatively affect your credit score. One of those things being not having enough credit. So this usually occurs when you have no credit at all, you have no established credit, you've never taken anything out in your name, and you know, you might have graduated college or something like that, and yeah, you'll have student loan if you have student loans. Most people do these days. But if you don't have anything like that and you're coming out and you're trying to get an apartment or something like that and they look at your credit score and they don't see anything, that could actually hurt you. Late payments. Of course, this is a no-brainer. Late payments are gonna be a detriment on your credit score. The more you make, the more your score will go down. It's really hard to get those off. You can, you know, talk to your company sometime, whatever company you owe that money to, and see if they can work at something out where they, you know, maybe expunge that record or something like that. But it's really something that you just want to avoid at all costs. Collections. If you're paying off for something and you fall on hard times, you know, it happens, I understand. Your payment, with whoever you owe money to, if they send your account to collections, of course, that's gonna hurt your credit score as well. So be careful. Try to stay on top of those payments any way you can. High balances. Like I mentioned before, I alluded to the fact that, you know, you wanna stay under 30% utilization. If you go over that, the credit card companies see it as someone that is using their credit way too much. Like, you know, they give you all this credit, but if you use too much of it, which is ridiculous, they will see it as someone that's not good with money. Like, why are you borrowing so much money? Even though we gave you all this money, if you start using too much of it, we're gonna, you know, start, you know, looking at you funny. Also, bankruptcy and inaccuracies. That's why it's important to check your credit score, check your credit report, make sure that you don't see anything crazy on there. And if you do, let them know immediately. Call the credit bureau, let them know that, you know, you see something that should not be on there. and they'll normally work with you. And if they can go back and verify that what you're telling them is true, they will remove it from your credit report and then get your credit score going back up immediately, because that can really mess you up. So I'm gonna give you some quick tips on things that you can do to build your credit. One of the first things is getting a secured credit card. If you have no established credit and you're really trying to get your credit scored up, I'll definitely suggest this. A secured credit card is pretty much your credit card, but it's your money. So let's say in my case, actually, I put in $1,000 to my bank, and my bank gave me a card for $1,000. So that's my money that I'm using. So when I swipe, for $100 and I had to pay that back, that's going back into that $1,000 that I put in there. And when you close that card, you actually get that money back. They just want to see that you know how to manage money, and you're not blowing out, $2,000-$3,000 every time you go shopping. I think that's a great way to build your credit. If you haven't done so already, definitely get on that. There's also credit builder loans and secured loans, which are pretty much the same thing, just larger amounts of money. Another thing is getting a co-signer. A lot of young people do this. Let's say when they're buying their first car, their parents will put them on the loan as a co-signer just to establish their credit, and I think that's a great way to build credit. Another thing is getting an authorized user. If you're already someone with an established credit card, a lot of people actually do this with their kids. If they have a young child, they will add their child as an authorized user on their credit card, and they don't even ever need to give the child the card. They just need to make charges on that credit card, and that will actually build that child or that person, whoever it is. People normally do this for like family members and friends. You just make your charges, life is normal. That'll help build and establish their credit. Check with your bank, whoever's issuing the credit card, and see if when you add an authorized user, will they report your credit history. Some companies aren't doing this anymore, but it's really something that can help a lot, because that's not only establishing their credit, but it's also giving them a credit history. So the main takeaways from this video is just making sure that you make your payments on time, you're keeping your credit utilization low, you're establishing a credit history. You just want to make sure that you're staying on top of this stuff, because it can really affect how you move through life. Have good spending habits. If you're gonna have a credit card or anything like that, just be cognizant of how much you spend a month and pay that thing off every month. If you're already spending this money and you already know that every month you spend this amount of money, just charge it to the card and pay it off every month. That's how I've shot my credit score up super fast. It was like a no-brainer after I did it, because I had no formal education on this at all. I had to learn it. Some things I learned by trial and error. I'd say that's my biggest tip. You can get a free credit report every year on annualcreditreport.com, and I'll leave a link in the description and a screenshot so that you guys can see. Make sure you're going to the right site. You get one free credit report every year, so definitely take advantage of that. And also, if I think Credit Karma might also do a free credit report as well. I think it's one of those, right? Credit Karma. Credit Karma does a free report every year as well. So take advantage of being able to see your credit score, see your credit report, see everything that's on it, and do it periodically. If you're thinking about making a big purchase soon or anything like that, definitely take a look at your credit score. Make sure everything's accounted for so that you're not hit with any uh-ohs or anything like that right at the end when you're ready to sign. When you're ready to pull that money out, you found your dream house, your dream car, and you're ready to get that loan, and then all of a sudden they're like, nah, something's wrong here. So that's it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure that you hit that like button if you like this video. If you have any suggestions, please let me know in the comments. I like talking financials with you guys. I'm not gonna give you what stocks to buy or anything like that, but I'll give you some tips on things that you can do to make yourself more financially healthy. If you like topics like this, please let me know. I love the feedback, guys. This is how this video was made, thanks to you. If you want more like this, please let me know. This is Manifest Digest. My name is Kwame. Have a good one.